Today we're going to review how to use the distributive property. Let's take a look at the problem 64 times 3. I can split the number 64 up into tens and ones. 64 groups of 3 is the same as 60 plus 4 groups of 3. 3 is my multiplier. This is the number that I will multiply by both terms, 60 and 4. So when I distribute my multiplier and rewrite the problem, it reads 60 times 3 plus 4 times 3. We actually use the distributive property when multiplying by a two-digit number already. Let's take a look at how we already do that. When multiplying 64 times 3, we first multiply the ones. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Next, I'm going to take a look at my tens, and I'll be multiplying 60 times 3, which is 180. Finally, I will add them together, and I will get 192. As you can see, when we use 3 as a multiplier and distribute it to both terms as we did up above, we will get the same answer. In this problem, we took the number 64 and we split it up into tens and ones. We then used our multiplier of 3 and distributed that to each term. 64 times 3 is the same as 60 times 3 plus 4 times 3. When we solve it either way, we'll get the same answer of 192. Guess what? You used the distributive property when you learned multiplication facts in 3rd grade, too. You just didn't know the math term for it yet. Let's take a look at an example of how you've already learned to use the distributive property. We can solve 8 times 9 by thinking of 9 as 10 minus 1. 8 is my multiplier here, so I will then be distributing my 8 to the 10 and distributing my 8 to the 1. We learned to solve 9 multiplication facts this way because multiplying times 10 is often easier. And if we take one group away, we then have 9 groups. And that's often an easier way to solve the problem mentally. So I'm going to take my multiplier of 8 and distribute that times 10 and distribute it times 1. You can see that I am going to take away one group of 8. So that I end up with a total of 9 groups of 8. I'll then solve 80 minus 8 equals 72. See? So you've actually solved problems like this mentally before, but now we have a vocabulary word for it, the distributive property, and we know how to show our work. You can use the distributive property to solve more complex mental computations as well. Can you think of a way to solve 99 times 4 mentally? Think about it for a second. I could think of 99 as 100 minus 1. I could then rewrite my problem as 100 minus 1 times 4. I then need to distribute my multiplier. My multiplier is 4. And to have 99 groups, I'll need 100 groups of 4 minus 1 group of 4. I then can solve my parentheses. 400 minus 4 equals 396. Open your math notebook and label this section 924 Flip Video Homework. Press pause as you solve the 3 problems below. Press play only after you've solved them on your own. Press pause and solve now. Continue the video only if you've tried all 3 problems on your own first. Correct your work as we review the problems. And remember that you can pause and rewind as needed. Let's take a look at the first problem. A number times 7 equals 50 times 7 plus 6 times 7. First, I can identify that 7 is my multiplier. I know this because 7 is being multiplied by 2 terms here. I'm multiplying 50 groups of 7 plus 6 groups of 7. So I have 56 groups of 7 altogether. Let's take a look at problem 2. 35 times 9 equals 40 times 9 minus a number times 9. Once again, I'm first going to identify my multiplier. My multiplier is 9 because I can see that I am multiplying 2 terms times 9. I have 40 groups of 9 minus an unknown number of groups of 9. Altogether, I have a total of 35 groups of 9. So I have to ask myself, how many groups of 9 do I have to take away from 40 groups of 9 to have a total of 35 groups? I would need to take 5 groups of 9 away from 40 groups of 9 to have 35 groups of 9. Let's take a look at our last problem. 7 times 8 minus 4 times 8 equals a number times 7 minus another number. In this problem, my multiplier is 8 because it is being multiplied by 2 terms. Since I know this is my multiplier, I can write it in. It goes in the blank outside of the parentheses because it will be distributed to both terms, the 2 terms inside of the parentheses. Now I can see that the 8 was distributed to the 7, but I have to fill in the blank with the other term the 8 was distributed to. We can see here that the 8 was also distributed to a 4. So I'm going to bring the 4 over because I have a total of 7 groups of 8 minus 4 groups of 8. If we reread the problem, we can check to see if it's accurate. Does it seem reasonable to say that 7 groups of 8 minus 4 groups of 8 is the same as 8 times 7 minus 4 groups of 8? Yes, that does seem reasonable.